Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Lysle Wickersham, brand and business strategist. So welcome, Lysle. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Patricia. It's great to be here. I run a consulting company here in Manhattan, and we are a brand strategy and positioning company. And we work with a range of companies. We work with early stage and startups to help them figure out how to competitively position and scale and help them prepare strategic plans and pitch decks to raise capital. We work with small to medium businesses to assess core brand strength and positioning strength and help them look for opportunities to accelerate market performance and grow equity value. And we work with some private equity and venture capital to build the equity value of their portfolio companies. So kind of 3 tiers of efforts.
Wow, nicely done. And I like Manhattan, my neck of the woods. Not everybody's from there, so awesome.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I love the city.
Yeah. Now, can you tell us about your background and what inspired you to found BRANDThink?
Yeah, I actually come from a kind of an odd dual track background. I grew up as a creative director in integrated advertising, and I built a $170 million integrated ad agency from 3 people to about 120 people that got sold to Havas. Wow. At that time, the dot-com boom was raging. I got recruited by a venture capital colleague to run a couple of technology companies. Kind of got the bug for helping accelerate the growth of early stage businesses and founded an investment bank, and which is a weird pivot for a creative person, I think, but it was something that really attracted me, the pragmatic, practical side of scaling a business and understanding the importance of building brand and equity value to drive both performance and value. So those 2 tracks combined is the foundation of what we do at BRANDThink.
Wow, it definitely is a little off the beaten path, but obviously it was meant to be. So that's awesome.
I guess so.
Yeah. Now, what are the core services that BRANDThink offers, and how do you basically differentiate from other consulting firms in the market?
Well, I think the core point of differentiation for us is that we are really grounded in the understanding of the financial returns of building the intangible equity of a business. And intangible equity is one of the significant drivers of both sustainable market performance and shareholder and enterprise value. So while there's a strong focus on core competitive positioning, understanding creatively how to extend positioning into brand narratives and brand stories, and sort of the creative side of brand extension is an unusual combination for a consulting group. So I think it makes us pretty different.
Yeah, for sure. You don't hear that one every day. Yeah. Now, how do you approach brand strategy for your clients? And what are some of the key elements that you focus on?
It's a great question because, brand can be a loaded word. A lot of times people think, oh, you're a brand strategist, you must do logos. And no, that's not exactly at all what we do. Branding is fundamentally a strategic process before it's a creative process. And if you have a good understanding of how equity is built with alignment and consistency over time, it takes time to build the financial value of equity, then you know that the starting point is having a clearly defined market opportunity, clearly articulated market context, core points of difference, and proof for those points of difference, all wrapped up into a succinct and memorable positioning statement. That is your business foundation of the brand. And when you get that right and you know who those people are and how you're differentiated and how you have to look and feel and sound as a brand, the extension of that positioning into creative elements is natural. But there's a creative component there. Every company has to tell a story. We are emotional people. We make emotional decisions. So you really can't connect the creativity and the creative extension from a foundational business strategy. So strategy and branding really are hand in hand.
It's definitely, I mean, that's one of the things that I always love with marketing is creating that story, because so many companies say, I'm the greatest, and that's just all there is to it. Everybody should want to buy my product or buy my stock or whatnot. But you're one of millions. So what makes you different? What makes you stand out? What pain points are you solving? And building that creative, that's where I guess the artistic part of you kind of builds that, glamorous story to help your clients sell.
It is, but the messaging structure comes out in the positioning. Yeah. So if you know that you need to concentrate on one or two core points of difference that become your stake in the ground, the thing that you're going to be consistently differentiated with over time, then messaging hierarchy becomes pretty easy. Right. There's a halo message, there's secondary messages and tertiary messages. There's an order to it. Right. But it all needs to align with the core business positioning.
Yeah, people never take that into consideration, and that's a good thing that you're guiding them on. So now, can you share a successful branding project that BRANDThink has worked on and the impact that it's had on the client's business?
Sure. It's always a tricky thing because building equity in a business is a long play, and it has ramifications of a business at a lot of levels: long-term customer loyalty, long-term shareholder value, sustainability, things that are difficult to measure or put on a P&L. But I can give you an example of a shift in positioning that came from just pure market analysis that made a significant difference. We had a fintech client that had developed a very unique 4-dimension equity scoring tool, a really unique algorithm that looked at stocks in a way that hadn't been done before. They were looking to sell that IP and positioned that IP as a large data play. And it was a large data play. It was pulling tons of data in and data driven. And they brought it to an investment house that we won't name here, who positioned it as a data play and put it out in the market. And they brought that to us. And we stepped back and said, let's figure out what's happening in the market. What are the trends in the neobanks and platform as a service, and what's going on, and help them realize that their positioning was not a data play, it was a SaaS play. And we repositioned them into a subscription-based model that also gave them an opportunity to white label that to the major financial players. And now they are realizing 8-figure annual revenue and have the potential to flip that for considerably more than they would have before. Wow. All because it's really changed the positioning based on understanding market trends and market dynamics. So,
wow. That's actually a really good case study right there. Yeah. So now tell us, what are some common mistakes businesses make when it comes to branding, and how can they avoid them?
Well, things that I bump into all the time are a couple things. A lot of times leadership just struggles to understand the intangible sides of what brands are and the power that they have, both internally, what it does to your employees in terms of satisfaction and retention and productivity. But they don't really understand that branding is not really about spend. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't invest in my brand. I just don't have the extra money. And it's really not about money. It's about how you run your business. And it's about understanding that every point of engagement, internally and externally, every time they interact with your company is a branded experience. Right. that compound experience is what people take away when they get to know who you are. So the biggest thing I see wrong out there is not philosophically understanding that, because really it's a leadership issue, pushing that thinking from the top down that makes it happen. I don't need to spend money. I need to be cognizant of it on a regular basis. I need to maintain it and nurture it and not lose sight of those things. But it's a way you run your business. And I think that is sort of the fundamental thing that's missing in the C-suite.
Yeah. And it is crazy when you talk to some people, their vision and their view isn't always what the public actually understands. So it's like your messaging right there is completely off the mark. And that's where they need an outside person stepping in, saying, okay, here's what you're saying. Here's what they're saying. Here's how we could bridge that gap.
Well, that's a great point. I work a lot with some early stage businesses that don't stop to say, well, what is it that the market needs and are they buying versus what do I think that I've built something that's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and but is there a market space for it? Is there room competitively? Is there a way that this can actually become a business? That's missing sometimes.
Yeah, that's why they need that outside view. So now, how do you stay current with the latest trends and innovations in branding and marketing? And how do you incorporate these into your strategies?
It's a good question. And, really so much of what branding is about is consistent over time. Because you're really understanding how our memory systems work, how we remember things, how things go in people's brain, understanding human nature, how we build relationships with things. Tools and tactics change. Channels change, the ways that you extend brand strategy change, but the fundamentals of aligning a business opportunity with the market and understanding how to craft a point of difference, to me, those things will never change. They will remain consistent, and really doing the work to align a business opportunity with the market opportunity is the same.
Yeah, I mean, people's needs and wants, they are what they are, regardless of the environment, the circumstance. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. So
now, can you discuss the importance of storytelling and branding, and how can businesses effectively tell their brand story?
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus, what I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
Yeah, brand stories or brand narratives have become a pretty important thing. And when I take a company through the exercise of establishing the positioning for their business, it's first grounded in, understanding their IP and their value proposition, aligning that with a clearly defined market opportunity and space competitively. And once you've figured out brand tone and the personality and all the traits of that brand and the pillars that need to relate to that audience, the next step is translating that into externally facing language. Right. And that's decidedly a creative endeavor. And if you did the strategy and you've spent the time figuring that stuff out, it's a natural flow from strategy to writing the narrative. And for me, the narrative makes things real. Yeah. It puts it into real language. It cements a feeling, a tone and manner, the subtlety that comes with a defined voice. Right. So for me, storytelling is really important because it incorporates the message hierarchy so that's understood. And ideally, a brand narrative is part of a brand guideline document, and it's distributed to people who develop your website copy and other communication materials. And so it becomes a guide for style, tone and manner, messaging, all the core elements that need to be consistently delivered across every channel. Right. So developing that brand story is a really important piece.
And that's where like the slogan and whatnot would come into play, right? Where, I mean, like Nike, just do it. There's no holding back, do it. Disney.
Sometimes taglines are developed ahead of that. So when you're, thinking of that positioning, oftentimes creatively, tagline directions will emerge before you write the story. The story is really translating that strategic foundation into externally facing language, because a positioning statement is really internal language, but becomes a structural guide to your core messages.
Right. It's all good stuff. And this is again where somebody in a company is they're too involved. Like they need that outside person, because you're going to say I'm the greatest and that's just all there is to it. It doesn't work that way.
It's true. Now, a lot of people say, well, what do you have a special vertical that you work in? And by design, I do not. I work across categories. I want to remain diverse and objective. I don't want to have no category biases and no confirmation biases. And I think that diversity of experience breeds innovation.
For sure.
So I prefer to be category agnostic, and I agree with you. Objectivity is important. If you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label, as they say, right?
Yeah. It's true. I'm the same. Like what I do, some people focus on technology or healthcare, whatnot. And I've always worked on the agency side, where I've worked with companies around the world in every niche under the sun. But it brings a good diversity to, you can understand how certain people think or what they want. And if one company thinks one way, you could say, okay, but someone else, it just brings a lot more to the table. So I think that's awesome.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Now tell us, what role does marketing execution play in developing brand strategies, and how has it evolved in recent years?
Well, execution of brand strategy is everything. It's just, I focus on when does that happen in the process. And if you've established core business positioning, you've extended that to brand foundation, and you've got your pillage and your messaging and your brand architecture all figured out, it all pushes out into extension. And if you've done that work, brand extension and all the tactics that go with that are responsible for creating the alignment and the continuity of the positioning and the messaging, which is the secret to building equity. So it becomes really important. So people who are in chief brand officer roles or those kinds of positions, need to make sure that every point of engagement, every tactic that's an extension of brand strategy is reinforcing the core positioning and the core value propositions and the core brand tone and manner and image. So everything is connected. Yeah. So regardless of the tactics that change, there's always a new shiny object in marketing to work on. But the fundamentals are always there. So
yeah, it's funny when you mention all the different roles, because it is true. I've been in companies where not everybody's communicating right, and you have everybody with a whole different vision, whole different story. It's like it's the same company, but everybody has to be on the same page. So understanding what your message is, what your core values are, and blah, 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 that's key to keeping the company thriving.
It is. That's brand alignment, and you can't build equity without it. And that's why positioning is single-minded and simple. It's telegraphic. It's easy to get people marching to the same tune, and it becomes really important. You can't have consistency without alignment. So
yeah, for sure. Awesome. So now tell us, how do you measure the success of developing or refining a company's brand and positioning? And what metrics do you find most valuable?
That's another tricky question, because so many of the intangibles of brand can't be measured easily on a P&L. You can see a lot of those benefits in the capital markets, because you could look at the difference between book value and cap value, or the relationship between stock price and earnings and so forth. But in private businesses, it's a little bit trickier. John Doerr wrote a great book called Measure What's Important. And he steps away from the KPR thing and goes to OKR, objectives and key results, which is kind of a nice way to tailor it again. And so if you're building brand, there should be objectives and key results around employee satisfaction and what that brand does to your internal organization. There should be objectives around some of those intangible things of brand preference and sentiment measurements that help people understand where you stand. Plus, typical things from repeat purchases and elasticity in pricing and all the things that strong brands deliver, because the benefits are broad. So I guess I'd recommend to anybody who's looking to figure out how to measure that to choose the objectives that are important to their business, the success of their business, and use those as OKRs instead of KPIs.
That's actually good advice, because it is true. I mean, you can have, just because you have a name on, like you ever see certain labels and whatnot come out with a new product and just the quality just went downhill or whatnot. And everybody just thinks, well, say it's not Coca-Cola, but just using them as an example. Well, it's Coca-Cola, everybody will love it. But people notice change. So getting that valuable feedback of what's working, what's not working, what could we do to improve? And again, there's billions of people out there. I think post-COVID, everybody became an entrepreneur and whatnot. There's billions of people coming up with things. So you want to stay ahead of that curve. Wow.
I'd add one more point to that and say that, a lot of the big companies, the Interbrands of the world, that do brand studies, they do these things over long periods of time with large companies in the capital markets that's easy to measure. And so entrepreneurs or smaller businesses need to have some patience, and they need to understand that building equity and getting the financial benefits of building a strong brand is a long game. And so you need to just philosophically embrace this idea and understand it, have some patience, and just lead and do it right and stick with it.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants to be a millionaire overnight, or
don't they?
It's like,
don't they?
That's great, but it is a process, and patience is a big thing.
I agree.
So now, I guess looking forward, what are your future goals for BRANDThink, and how do you plan to continue helping businesses achieve their branding objectives?
I'm going to continue to do what I do. It's really even though I have a defined methodology and process for this stuff, it's a skill-based offering. And so I'm always
not a one size fits all.
I'm always interested in finding other strategists who also have a creative heritage and come from that side. But I'm just going to continue to do what I love to do because, I have some ability here and I love it. I have a passion for building brands and building businesses, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Awesome. I mean, you've been successful, and that's a huge thing. And, it's kind of like that behind the scenes person. When a company's successful, they don't see you behind them, but you're helping them get to where they got to go, which is amazing.
I think the satisfying thing for me, Patricia, is I get to sort of combine my skill sets and my strengths and just do what I love. So I've had sort of 2 other careers, building an agency and building an investment bank and doing those sides. And now I just kind of get to combine those experiences, and I like bringing value to the businesses. So
that's awesome. So you've actually achieved your goals, which is amazing. Yeah. So anything else you're working on that I didn't touch on, or anything new going on?
I seem to be focused mostly on some early stage companies, helping them raise capital, which is always a great exercise in understanding how to optimally position and talk about an important need for storytelling. Storytelling and raising capital go hand in hand. You cannot separate the importance of that. You tell that story well, you build a strong pro forma, you model everything well, you're going to reduce your cost of capital. So I'm in the middle of doing that with a manufacturing company in transportation. I have a client in wellness, health and wellness, and another launching a SaaS product in the education space. So it's quite diverse.
Yes, for sure. But that's good because you have all that unique value to bring to each and every one of them. So that's amazing.
Yeah, each one is a different strategy, a different puzzle, a different problem to solve, and that's kind of the brain food.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like trying to figure stuff out, or give me something. Like, you could do the same mundane stuff every day, but having that challenge, it's like, now I get to figure something out. It kind of lights a little fire.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, nice. So how can people get a hold of you or learn more about you?
Well, they can go to brandthink.biz or find me on LinkedIn. There's probably not a lot of Lysle Wickershams on LinkedIn, so that shouldn't be too difficult. And I'm always open to having conversations with anybody who want to sort of kick this stuff around. So
okay, awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Lysle Wickersham. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the channel. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God. It's beautiful.